They're GCSE questions now. There's calls that GCSEs and A-levels should apparently be scrapped. They're saying apparently that this is all about recall. What can you remember and then what can you recall when you're in an exam situation? Apparently it's pretty pointless. Instead, we need radical reform, apparently, some form of ongoing assessment. Alex Deane.
I don't believe, actually, that those things are pointless. I accept that there may be a need for a change or reform in examinations. Nobody should ever pretend that the system is unimprovable. But one of the basic criticisms being levied at our current environment is that it's too stressful. It produces stressful situations, and that it'd be much better to have continuous, ongoing assessment over time. But the thing about life is that it involves moments of stress.
Yes.
Right? And being employed involves moments of stress, and involves having to recall things under pressure, at short notice, from people that you might find intimidating or not like, and so forth. Well, that's life. And if we are trying to prepare people for the world, it seems to me that pretending the world is different from that is a very bad place to start.
But we do that. We do that in every aspect of life when it comes to kids, Alex.
When they're young, yes. By the time they're 16 or 18, they might be going out into the world.
And this proposal has come from Tony Blair, hasn't it? From the Tony Blair Institute.
Has indeed.
I mean, it's not, he's
it's not... It's a bad start, isn't it?
Well,
that's why I missed that bit out. Well, I skipped over that little bit.
This is a man who, as Prime Minister, wanted to get more than 50% of kids to university. And it hasn't actually worked for so many people because they've gone to university, they've found that it's not for them, they've dropped out, they've wasted time that could have been done on an apprenticeship or going to university later.
Absolutely right.
And it hasn't made us a better educated nation. I think, what I'm quite interested in, and it hasn't quite taken off, and I'm not sure why, is the English baccalaureate, which was proposed a few years ago and is in place in some schools as an alternative to GCSEs and A-levels. And it does seem to me that gives you a much more rounded range of basic subjects. I mean, of course, exams are stressful, but I completely agree with Alex. They're stressful for the teachers as well. But that is life. If we are getting children coming out of school who have got, fabulous exam results but no social skills, that's a different question. But changing the exam system isn't going to change that.
Yeah, I agree.
Apparently, they want the new focus to be, when I say there, I mean the Tony Blair Institute, you're quite right. They want it to be on the 4 Cs, apparently, which are critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration.
Well,
Those are the 4 Cs.
Blair was always very good at communication, but I doubt the critical thinking has been applied much here, because they don't seem to have appreciated that Tony Blair attaching his name to something tends to make it less popular amongst the current British public. So if they wanted this idea to seed well, they should have given it to somebody else.
And critical thinking, all of those things are very important.
Sure.
But they should be as part of, when you're doing your English, which is a compulsory subject, that should be about critical thinking, as is science. It's about, checking and being critical and checking things.
Yes, but what makes me laugh, it's all right coming out and saying, we want 4 Cs, one of the 4 Cs is critical thinking. No, you don't want critical thinking. You almost want, in this society now, many of the teachers, many of the lecturers, it's almost a form of indoctrination. You have these kind of mindsets. They cancel speakers from going into educational institutions. You have safe spaces in case people get upset what they hear. You have trigger warnings and everything.
Yeah.
You don't want critical thinking at all. You want to indoctrinate a sense of absolute ridiculousness. And then when these kids get into the real world, goodness gracious me.
But that's why he's right to say that you need to bring in critical thinking.
Yes, although he may not be a good example of it.
Exactly.
The trouble with the mindset you're accurately describing, Michelle, is that some people now regard themselves as so tolerant that they cannot tolerate someone else's point of view.
Yes, good point.